It's as if we're playing a mysterious game of hide and seek, where the stars are the missing protagonists. When we marvel at the images taken during human-led space missions, there always seems to be something missing, a crucial detail that escapes observation. The stars. But why does this happen? Why can't we see the stars in photographs from space missions? Even though on Earth, at night, we are used to seeing thousands of twinkling stars in space backgrounds, there seems to be a silent cosmic void, devoid of these celestial bodies. A void that many believe to be proof of something mysterious, as if the images of the moon were not actually taken on the moon, but rather in a secret film studio. But is that really the case? Or is there a much simpler explanation that could dispel these doubts? The mystery of the missing stars in space images has been a topic of discussion since the Apollo missions. Some conspiracy theorists suggest that the absence of stars in the Apollo 11 photos, for example, is proof that the entire mission was a hoax. However, the truth behind this absence might be much more mundane. The official explanation is tied to a very simple technical aspect: the exposure time of the photographs. To understand this better, we must consider a fundamental aspect of space photography. The photographs from the Apollo missions, such as those taken on the lunar surface, were shot with very short exposure times. The surface of the moon, in fact, reflected sunlight incredibly intensely. This meant that if the astronauts had exposed the camera for too long, the lunar surface and the astronauts themselves would have appeared overexposed, turning completely white and losing all detail. To prevent this, the cameras were set to very short exposure times, allowing them to correctly capture the astronauts and the surrounding environment without risking overexposing the image. Unfortunately, this choice also made it impossible to capture the faint light of the stars, which, compared to the reflected light from the moon, became invisible. This explanation is also supported by the experience of astronauts like Bruce McCandless, the first to complete a spacewalk without a safety tether. During his excursion in 1984, McCandless described the experience of space as anything but contemplative. Instead of a peaceful and serene landscape, he saw space as a constant threat, not only due to the presence of dangerous space debris, but also because of the deep darkness that enveloped everything. Although he had no visible stars around him, his account of the vastness of space was powerful and unsettling, showing that space is a place where stars are not always visible to the naked eye. Not only astronauts have noticed the absence of stars during their adventurous journeys. Even Neil Armstrong, during his historic moonwalk, observed that the sky appeared black as pitch, without stars. Despite the lack of atmosphere on the moon, which in theory should make it easier to see the stars, the reality is that star visibility depends greatly on exposure conditions and the intense light reflected by the lunar surface. On Earth, we can see the stars with our eyes because the light passes through the atmosphere and gets scattered. But in space, light does not disperse in the same way, making stars harder to perceive. Over the years, scientists and astronauts have tried to shed light on this phenomenon. A relevant example is the testimony of Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield, who spent 3 missions in space between 1995 and 2013. During one of his spacewalks, Hadfield described the experience of looking into the darkness of space as seeing a dense, impenetrable black. Despite the incredible beauty of Earth stretching beneath him, the sky above was completely starless. In fact, this is a reality shared by all who have been to space. The incredible depth of space seems to absorb the light of the stars, making them almost invisible, as if space itself were a black canvas. Another factor contributing to the mysterious absence of stars in space images is the technology of the cameras used in space missions. Unlike our eyes, space cameras are not able to quickly adapt to changes in light. This means that while we see stars shining in the night sky, cameras must be set to capture detailed images of the brightest objects, such as the lunar surface or the astronauts themselves, but not the background stars, which are too faint to be captured without very long exposure times. To draw a comparison, if we were to take a photo of the night sky on Earth with a short exposure time, the stars would be invisible. The same happens in space, where even bright stars are obscured by the strong light coming from the lunar surface or the spacecraft. In a brighter environment like that of space missions, stars easily get lost in the deep darkness, making the external sky paradoxically empty in images, even though the reality is quite different. So, While space images capture some of the most fascinating and breathtaking views of our universe, it is important to remember that behind every photograph, there are precise technical decisions. Space cameras are designed to take pictures of missions, astronauts, and extraterrestrial environments. But the stars, though present, often escape our view due to the photographic techniques used. In fact, the ability of space cameras to obtain precise images is the result of scientific planning, which takes into account light conditions and the specific needs of the mission, as in the case of the Voyager 2 probe, which captured images of Neptune despite difficult lighting conditions. In the end, the images we see, the ones that fascinate us and make us reflect on our place in the universe, are the result of conscious choices. The stars are not absent from space, but rather invisible through the camera lens. So even though to the eyes of astronauts and their cameras, the sky above them may seem empty, the reality is that the sky is full of mystery, beauty, and of course, stars. Only they are invisible to our eyes, at least in that particular mode. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss upcoming videos.